probably seen a fishbowl terrarium like this. They're a fun project and a great way to bring some greenery into the house. But what if you were to scale it up? I'm doing a fish tank and a coffee table, and I'm going to show you how. And this is the perfect project on a rainy day like today. So what actually is a terrarium? Well, basically it's an enclosed ecosystem for plants. Traditionally, they'd have a top on them. Because I picked this one up second-hand, it doesn't, but that's not really a problem. It's going to allow me to do maintenance over time on the plants in the glass. The success of a terrarium comes down to two things: the plant choice and the soil. You've got to remember this thing doesn't drain, so it's just going to rot plant roots. That's why on the bottom layer, we've got drainage, coarse aggregate, and I'm using fired clay balls because they're nice and light. I'm sculpting it into these mounds because you've got to remember, this thing's a piece of art and you're going to be looking at it. Let's have some fun with it. Our next layer is this stuff. It's called sphagnum moss. I absolutely love it. I've soaked it so it's fluffed up. So you want to give this stuff a really good squeeze to get the water out of it because you don't want that to stagnate. And then we're going to compact it down into a layer and just pop it on top of our mix. Our next level of the filter is this stuff. It's horticultural charcoal. Now this absorbs smells and also bacteria in the soil, so it's a must-have. With our landscaping done, we're moving on to soil works. Now I'm not using a normal potting mix. I've made my own. Now this is cocoa peat and coarse sand. Now the cocoa peat helps to hold on to moisture and nutrients, whereas the sand gives a bit of airspace and lets it drain. Make sure as you go to step back and take a look at it. That way you can look at your horizons and get them just the way you want them. It's much easier to fix it now than it is when the plants go in. When you're picking plants for a terrarium, it's just like picking plants for a garden, but you have to remember a terrarium is a really humid climate, so you need plants that can thrive in that. I've got this fantastic Sarracenia. Now this is a carnivorous plant. It likes a lot of moisture, so it's going to go into the low spots in the terrarium. I've also got some begonias and ferns. Now these like moisture, but they can handle a little bit sort of dry conditions, so they're going at the top of my mounds. I'm going to set this whole thing out and then I'll backfill with the rest of the soil. One tip, you need to be watering as you go. Just use a spray bottle. You don't want to use anything too harsh. It's just going to help the plants settle in and give them the moisture they need. I've tied some tillandsia to this bit of driftwood. Now these plants are fantastic. They take all the moisture they need just from the air. I'm going to place them into the terrarium, and that's just going to give us a lovely vertical accent. With our terrarium finished, you really could put it anywhere in the house. But I've knocked up this frame so we can have ours on the wall and make a real feature of it. Now this has got to be pretty sturdy because that fish tank is very heavy. I'm just using this core flue, which is black, which is going to make all our plants pop.
You're amazing. You're a ribbon in the sky, and you're the last thing when I sleep at night.
Ready? Not really. Let's go. Whoa. It's at least 100 kilos.
Can we do it again? Can we crash and fall but get back on?
I reckon that's light as a feather. Well, that wasn't easy, but it looked absolutely awesome. You may remember, as well as the fish tank terrarium, I said I was going to do a coffee table. Well, here it is. I actually found this on the side of the road, and I fitted it with a prefab pond liner to hold all our soil and plants. Conveniently, and luckily, it's the perfect size. The soil mix in our coffee table is exactly the same as our fish tank terrarium, but because it's going to be heavy and we're using a plastic pond liner, it's going to sag, so I've reinforced it with a simple ply box. First clay balls, sphagnum moss, charcoal, and then soil. The planting in the coffee table is going to be completely different to that of the fish tank. Instead of looking at the plants, we're looking down on the plants. So I'm going for lovely rounded shapes. We've got some Selaginella, which is this fantastic fern which is going to creep around. We've got some Photonia. And I'm even going to use this rounded Peperomia here. To tie it all together, I'm going to be using a bit of moss, which I found in the garden actually. To finish off our coffee table terrarium, I gave our plants a really good water with a mister. I then put the glass top back on, which is going to seal all that moisture inside. Keep an eye on your plants. If they look like they're starting to dry up, just lift it up again and give them another squirt with the mister. To finish off our fish tank terrarium, we've installed a grow light. Not only does this make all our plants stand out, it supports really healthy growth. What I love about terrariums is they're living, breathing works of art, perfect for any home.